Hi, good evening. I do not know what happened. I'm super sorry. My phone just went off and it said to me that the phone had to cool down. I don't even know what the heck that meant. But I hope I can get people to come back to the live. Sorry. Sorry for the break in transmission. I really, really hope that we do not lose all of what we had said in the first time. Thank you guys for joining back. Thank you for joining back. I hope our guests can also join back. Yeah, welcome www. Adeyinka Olufikayo Timiloju. So thank you guys for coming back. You can't even believe what happened. Like we were busy talking, me, I was busy taking notes down, all of that. And the next thing told me that your iPhone needs to cool down. I'm like, cool down, bow. That is hot. I said, hot? For what? So I literally had to unplug the phone and then put on my fan to like, please cool down the phone because we need to continue this conversation. This conversation is too hot. Okay, welcome back, EFUE. It's a diva phone. So he said it was too hot. I needed to cool down. So I had to go and get
Wow.
my fan. See the fan. But then I went to get fan to cool it down.
Wow.
Hey Jesus. Me, I'm not hot. The phone is the one that is too
I
hot.
was
I can't believe that.
talking. And I said, Auntie Brandy, it's she's looking frozen. I was like, is it my network? I mean, I was sure that I had like international standards network,
There,
but you know
girl.
how it can be. I was like, what's going on? The next thing, live has ended. I
I
said,
was
not again.
my phone just went like I think it just went blank. Now says iPhone temperature needs to cool down. I say cool down from where? What is going on? I just thank God I had it was last minute I grabbed this fan when I was coming upstairs here because where I normally do my lives, there's a party going on my street. So the noise in that part is not just going to work. So I had to come up to my bedroom and I had to now move all my paraphernalia upstairs. So I literally grabbed this grabbed this fan at the last minute to say, let me just carry it. Like who knows? And that's what saved the phone because otherwise the phone would have waited to cool down.
Hey,
Life would have finished.
life would have lived. Ah,
Oh my goodness.
see,
So
so
you said
sure
learning to be proud.
there.
Learning
We're
to be
talking about
proud.
interviewing. When you're
It's not
interviewing, you're gonna be
local.
proud. But you're not talking about this pride. Talking about
It's not
pride. Let me
local.
tell you, people,
Mm.
it's just that it's live. But do I want to open my this thing on a live? Hey, God. That was how, before we jump into it, that was how, somebody had told me, blow your
Yes.
trumpet. Hmm. This guy, great guy. Great guy. Like, he really helped me in that period. He told me that, hey God, I was interviewing for a particular job that I really wanted. He now told me, you gotta be confident. I knew all of that, but that even speak to them like you already have the job. To them, as if you already have the
Overdid it.
job, like if they ask you a question, just be like, so when I'm hired as the, maybe the customer service officer or this whatever manager, the thing didn't sit well with me. He has been around here for a long time.
You know, you'll be
I'm just
thinking, me, I'm
coming.
just coming.
And
No,
he
this is how
works
they
for
do it.
the organization, so he must know what he's saying. He's not just saying it from. So that's that yours truly. I bounced into the
Mm.
interview. Interview was great, like, fantastic. If I say so myself, it was great because I saw the way they were smiling, the
Mm-hmm.
recruiter was smiling. And then I think they asked me something, or I asked them something, and I used it. I said, so when I'm hired as hey, when I'm hired as, I'm sure the hiring manager was like,
They look at
when you're hired, oh, oh boy,
who has
that's why I don't
hired
hear
you.
from them again. No. It was a funny experience because, interestingly, they invited me for another role to interview for a different role, but that particular one, I was there. So please don't be like me. So this is it.
Don't
Be
do it.
confident, but don't be proud. Those are two separate things. I moved from
Mm.
confidence to pride, and as they say, Pride goes before it fall. I feel yakata.
Pride goeth before a fall.
Finish.
Oh, oh my goodness. That is so funny. And some people actually giving you, good advice
Yeah.
in good conscience.
Mhm.
They really believe that this works, yeah. And maybe the day that they used it, the panel
Yeah.
probably just wanted him and just overlooked
I
his
don't think he used it though. I
overlooked
don't
the
think
slip
he
and
used it.
just
I
said,
think he
okay,
just felt that from his experience in the company, they liked those sort of things. Hannah advised me. Wow. But speaking about confidence too.
oh my goodness.
I know someone who went for, so he was switching careers. He had been around for a while, but he was switching careers and he went in for an interview and he didn't know what he was saying, but he was saying it very confidently because he had been coached and told that
Confidently.
if they say explain, which word can I use now? Explain open. And I start saying nonsense, but I'm saying it confidently.
Open
You
means
know, open
closing the
is a
door. But
situation
when you
where,
open,
you're doing a review, but then you're not quite sure of what exactly this review is. So you decide to, unpack this review. You're speaking very confidently. Can you imagine that? He said that they invited him for the next stage. And this man is like, that you don't know.
wow.
So this is it. So let me
Was there
think.
no
It's not like
technical
he said
person there?
opposite, but he knew that it was a new industry that he was still struggling to get into. So he had trained. You know how you go for all of this training and all, but he didn't have like hands-on real practical experience. So he was trying to use like the textbook, the coaching and
Experience.
everything. He felt like,
Depends
hey,
on the
I'm
text.
saying rubbish. But he got to the next stage, so much so that when he got the job, he said his hiring manager told him, if only you knew how long we had been trying to fill this role, you would have asked for a higher salary. Ah, your mouth is open. My mouth is still open, even though
Oh,
I've heard the story before. That is what confidence can do.
oh, more.
You never want to, be jittery or all of this. Sometimes it works. Some people are nice and kind and you're saying smart things and you're jittery and they're like, oh, it's okay, it's just the nerves. You want to show up very, very confident.
Allow me to interrupt you a little. As you spoke about nerves, and something just came to my mind, and I was like, how do you deal with nerves in an interview? I know that, so many people are always, especially when you come in late, or you're
Ah,
struggling with
hmm.
technology, and somehow,
Yes.
Nigeria is Nigerian. Either network is not working, or NEPA would choose to take light, or something just keeps you on edge. So you're not coming to the interview and you know these things. How do you get
Yeah.
back into the game? How do you get yourself back into your
It's so
confidence? How do
interesting
you
that
do
you're
it?
using that example, right? So the first thing I would say about interviewing and nerves is practice, 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 and practice. And we're going to go back to the story toolbox eventually. But you must have practiced everything that you want to come before the panel to say. Don't show up as a G. I know my experience now. It's not me. I've done it all. No. You will record yourself. You would practice in front of, if you have people that can help you, great. If you don't, there's no need. Put on a video, answer the questions like you are in a live interview scenario. Watch the video. You will record it on your phone. You will listen to yourself and know, I said that one. I spent too much time on this one. You know, when they say
This one
practice
didn't enter.
makes perfect, it does. So you want to spend a lot of time, building out the things you want to say and then also practicing your delivery of those things. That helps with your confidence. So you're not going in, I don't even know what. Preparation just makes you a bit more confident than if you've not prepared, right? Now,
Yeah,
personal story. That
I
example you
know.
used, I have actually gone into an interview where I won't say I was late, but I wasn't as early as I planned to be because it was a tool I had never used before. The next thing I was seeing, arranging the chairs, mopping the floor, cleaning the table, removing the cobwebs. Literally, it was having all kinds of messages and it was rolling and rolling and rolling. I had to send the recruiter an email. I had
And
to recruiter
not
an email that
signing
I don't
it.
know what's happening to this thing, but it's just rolling and rolling and rolling. I don't think I'll be able to make it early. And luckily for me, I got to, maybe interview was at 10 o'clock. I got to maybe like 10 o'clock or maybe like 10:01, something like that. So when I came in, I was like, oh my God, you know what? You can't believe what happened to me. Like, I was just struggling to come in, and, it was just saying, mopping the floors, cleaning the tables, arranging the chairs. I literally said it, and everybody was laughing. They were all laughing, and the one guy was like, oh, yes, that was my experience too. The first time I broke the ice. So, it's okay. I would usually say come into the interview and look for an icebreaker, something that helps to calm your nerves. Don't come in looking too serious. Yeah, for interview. I have to be professional and serious. Come in, crack a joke, say something that instantly. I mean, when you've laughed, you can't finish laughing and then you are still on the edge. It's not possible now. You've already moved from that emotion.
I know. I know why I asked you that question because you gave me this advice and then it literally worked. I got into a tense interview like that, and I was worried and afraid, like, oh my God, how do I get back my nerves? And I just remembered that I had planned something as an icebreaker, and I just used it. So they introduced themselves, and I found out there were two people on the panel that had similar names. Right? One had contacted me. Her name was Sabrina. The other person was Sabri. And I said, oh my God, imagine after Sabrina and I spoke, I saw the mail from Sabri and I thought, oh dear God, have I called Sabrina the wrong
Mm-hmm.
name? And then now I see both of you here and they were just rolling up. I said I was so panicked. I was like, oh my God, I'm so particular about people's names. So I was so panicked and thought, oh wow, did I just call her the wrong name? And all of them were rolling in laughter. And the guy was like, oh, you know what? I know I get that all the time. And guess what? It's because I'm not as pretty as she is. That's why they took off the last two letters from my name,
Exactly.
and the whole panel started laughing.
No,
So I
tell me,
got
could you
calm.
have come out of that conversation and be
Everybody
like,
was
oh,
calm, and
no.
so all my nerves were now settled. I remember the other interview I had. The first thing that my recruiter said to me was, he looked at my CV and said, Queen's College, I'm not going to hold it against you that in 1991 when I came to Queen's College I was gated because they didn't allow me to come in to see my girl because
1991. Hey, wahala dey. You would have said I wasn't even in QC then.
it was such a, I was rolling in laughter, and and that was how the interview started. So obviously, the interviewer can break
Yep,
the ice.
yep.
You also can
I
break
mean,
the
even
ice.
if
So
you're
it's
not a
really important
joke
to make sure that the
cracker,
nerves are
me,
just
I tend to be very playful and funny, right? You can use that. Some people are just not those type of people. If I came into an interview with you, Brenda, for example, I'll just come and be like, oh my God, your glasses are so lovely. Everybody loves a good compliment. You'll just be smiling from ear to ear.
absolutely,
Yeah. So you can use that as
absolutely.
well. You can use like a compliment or something, but just look for. Don't just start your interview with "Tell me about yourself." You want to start having that conversation. You want to connect with your panel before you get into the real deal. Because when they're laughing, they already kind of like you. Everybody likes people that make them laugh. Mm-hmm.
And they will remember
Yeah.
you,
And I
and they
think
will
somebody
remember
say,
you
"Call me with a
because they're going
smiling
to see
face."
so
That is
many
so
people that
critical. Me, I smile a lot.
it's not war. It's not war.
Exactly. It's not war. Everything you're saying, even when you're explaining your role, tell me about yourself. Also, my name is EFUE Billionaire. I have over X years experience in blah, 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 blah. I'm smiling. You can be sure I'm smiling. So they warm up to you and they want to listen to you. My name is EFUE Billionaire. I was general manager of Merchant Bank. I just moved into the country and I have a lot of skills. I have a lot of skills. Trust me. They're not the same thing, right? Don't be too
You're too
serious.
serious.
Don't feel like, just relax. Be yourself. Be yourself, right? That's what I would say. Now, back to the story toolbox. That
Two
toolbox is very
box. I was about to go
important
there.
too,
Please don't
because
let us forget.
that's what will help you, like build out your competency-based questions. Not be fight, oh my sister.
Okay.
It's not fight, but some people are just too serious, you just have to learn to calm down. I would say, first of all, you want to go in with, a time where you saved the day. I had mentioned that before we left the life. So, one of those days where things were going terribly wrong and you had to step in and save the situation. Don't think it has to be something extraordinary, like you now won presidential award based on that. No, it can be the regular things you do at work. It's just being able to craft it in a compelling manner that shows the value of what you did. And that's where the result comes in, where you're able to
What is
say
right?
tangibly that this was the outcome, right? And you might even go on, okay, there's
Yeah.
another one around when you made a mistake. That's the second thing. So you want to talk about when you saved the day, you want to talk about when you made a mistake. when you're talking about when you made a mistake and you said the results based on your corrective actions, right? You want to also talk about what processes did you put in place to forestall a recurrence, right? So you want to be able to tell them, oh, based on that experience going forward, I did A, B, C, D, E, which ensured that I didn't get into that type of situation again. Because it's not enough to fix the mistake. You also have to be like, it shows that you're forward looking, right? Yeah. So that's it. You also want to have something around, maybe if it's a customer facing role, maybe a difficult customer or maybe a colleague at work, like something that just showcases your interpersonal skills, because that's critical. Most times you are not working alone, right? You're not working alone. So you want to have something around that. You want to also talk about moments that you're proud of, like, those projects that you nailed, those wonderful things you've done in your experience. You want to build those stories as well, and tell it to the panel. I would also say, when you're going in
Okay.
for a technical role, you want to have projects that you can talk about, like from start to finish, right? You want to be able to talk about it. And unlike in Nigeria, where I feel like we used to be we try to be brave, succinct, and all of that. Here, you see that everything is all stories. I
Yeah.
mean, from when I started this life call, I'm talking about stories, stories, stories. They love to hear stories and to listen
Yeah.
to you. So don't be too brief.
And stories communicate far more
Exactly.
than, if you were just
Yeah. So don't be too
answering one
brief.
liners, because they can pick something that will lead
Exactly,
to another
exactly. And when
question
you're
and
telling a
another question and
story,
another
it's
question.
not likely that you just made it up because you have to expatiate, right, on it. So it's not possible. I can just say I did any project, but if I have to talk
Yeah.
about the project and walk you through the project, hey, I would know if you did that project or not. I would know if you've ever been in an environment,
Yeah.
whether you were even anywhere around the project. I would know based on what you tell me. So that's usually why they like that story approach, right? And
They
when you're
like
talking about your
inspiration.
projects,
Yeah.
be very expressive. Don't think, oh, let me keep these details. No, walk them through from sequentially what you did to what next, to what next, to what next. Because when you miss out any of those vital points, they feel like, hmm,
You may be missing
yeah,
the
and
key
they may be
word they're
like,
looking for.
so she didn't do A before she did C. Does she really know what she's talking about? Do you understand? So they are waiting for you to take them through end to end, and then you just do 1 and 5. You're like, let me just summarize. They will know now from 1, I did 5. How did I get there? I must have done 2, 3, 4. No, don't assume. Take your time and
I
build it
see.
out. They really want to hear you listen to you and all of that. So that's what I would say. Um, so when it also comes to another very important thing that I learned, ask questions. Even if you don't take, oh,
Meg, you're going to Amy, you're going to
mm-hmm,
prepare your stories. That's why she said
yeah,
prepare, prepare, prepare. You're not a storyteller, but you've done this work, okay? So that's why she's giving us these 5 kind of stories to prepare. One, a time when you saved the day. I could give you an example of what happened to me, right? So we had a mistake in ordering. Okay, that's a mistake story, but I can twist it around to be like I saved the day. Because you can twist it anytime to anyone. Do you understand? Just have the stories in your head. So I will tell you how I use the same story for mistake and this
be
one, just
careful
just to
what
give
you
you an
say
example.
online. Before
So
the
a
people
time
that
when
you
I saved
told
the day.
mistake, I listen to the one you told.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm just giving an example, right? Do you understand? And it's just an example to show
Oh, yeah,
how you can actually
sure.
use the
In
same
fact,
story
what
for
you just said
different.
is very critical.
That's what
Mm-hmm.
I just. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. There's no
Yeah.
lie. There's no lie here. It's the same story. But so now in this story, for example, how I saved the day. So we had ordered something wrongly. The vendor did not show up with the right amount, and we were now stuck. So how did you do it? So with my architectural skill, I redesigned the floor layout, and so we were now able to mix and match 2 different tiles, because the tiles we ordered, it was not enough. Mix and match, and it now became a nice design. At the end of the day, it was much better than what we initially planned with one tile. That was saving the day. Now, this same story
Exactly.
was a mistake. If I tell you from the beginning,
Mm,
I did not cross-check properly from the vendor to
yep.
ensure that they had the exact amount that we needed. I just gave him the contract, he decided to supply, and halfway we discovered that we were stuck. So that was a mistake. Okay, how did I make sure that it doesn't happen again?
from that day forward, before I give you a contract, you must show me either with your will-be or go to your warehouse to see it physically that you have the right amount that I need. Pay you only a portion until you deliver everything. That way, I protect myself from having to deal with you collecting money
Yeah,
and then not able to deliver what I
exactly.
need. So
Yeah,
do you understand?
yeah.
It's the same story. It's the same scenario, but I was able to use it in two. So, I mean, you cannot use one story in two things in the same
No,
interview.
no, you can't.
That's the
But that's
caveat.
the whole
That's the
idea,
caveat. But
actually.
depending on which of these questions they ask you, you can
So
you
that's
can
the
now
whole idea
twist it
of
and
actually
answer.
building stories. Those stories is so that you have. So imagine that if I prepare 2 stories in each of these categories, that means I go in with 8 stories.
Right.
Please, what would they ask me that I will not be able
What
to
they
quickly,
ask me that I won't be ready.
adopt it to the question I'm being asked? Or like if I just came in and was like, well, let them ask me.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what to ask. So let me just go
I'll
there.
be
Then
thinking
they ask me. I'll be like, hey, but so far I have eight whole stories, even 4 stories in my head. I will pull out one and I will
anyone
wing
can.
it. Do you understand? And yes, to not being a storyteller, that's fine.
Absolutely.
That's why you do the work before you get in. If you're a storyteller, maybe you just get in and once they say, tell us, my work, I'm a storyteller. You dive in. But you're not a storyteller. So you prepare.
So all
And then you
tomorrow is to
present
prepare.
yourself
Absolutely.
as the storyteller. So that's just basically, what it is. And I was going to say, questions are so critical. Questions can be the deciding factor between EFUE and Brenda. So there have been all kinds of, um,
Sorry. You have to say this thing well. Questions
questions
that you ask or questions
that
that they
you
ask you.
ask. So
Remember,
sorry
we are
about
2 years
that.
old.
The questions
Be
you
clear.
ask during your interview. So never, ever, ever finish an interview and they say, do you have any questions to ask us? Me that I'm even happy that the interview is over. No, thank you, I'm fine. That's not a good way to end your interview at all. Research has proven that, when they asked a couple of recruiters and hiring managers and all of that, what makes you choose one candidate over the other, right? They say that it's the quality of the questions that the people asked. Can you imagine? So that is what makes you memorable. First of all, remember that. Do you have any questions for us? It's never the first question, it's the last. So that's how you kind of,
It's
they're
not
like,
the last.
wow, look at her questions. She's brilliant. Even if you don't know, I mean, you are brilliant. It means I can train you for whatever else it is. Because think about it, really, do they know you? But I can tell from the quality of questions you're asking that, wow, she's adaptable, she's brilliant. Oh, wow, I'm going to hire her. And that's what I remember because I might not even remember all those your stories. Tell me about yourself. You impressed me. So you're
eight
leaving
stories.
me with that experience of you, like, so beyond even answering our questions fantastically, she's even so smart. You look at her questions. So you prepare for your questions as well before you get into the interview. So you're going in the interview with your stories and your questions. Don't try to come up with any new things there. Go with more than enough questions. You want to be in the position where you're asking and asking, and you're like, so I actually have more questions to ask, but because I can see that we're almost out of time, I'll probably just, leave the rest. They're like, no, go on. Oh, yes, thank you so much. It's been an amazing interview. Like, pretend as if you have 1 billion and you couldn't go through. You couldn't go through the 1 billion.
So tell me, what kind of questions
Yeah,
are
so that's a great
typically,
that's a great
what kind of
question.
questions should people be asking?
Genuinely.
Woo!
Oh
I'm
yeah,
learning
you're
fast.
brilliant, So you remember I talked about research. Now I've researched. I can see that there's one person who has been in the firm for like 8 years, right? I can see maybe there's another person that just joined the firm. Maybe it's like 1 year old in the firm. I already know the questions I want to give those two people, right? I would have questions from the recruiter side. So sometimes a HR professional is in your interview. Sometimes you're not. It just depends on how it's set up. So I have questions for that person. I have questions for my hiring manager. I have questions for every single person on the panel, right? And I'm going to go through them like one after the other.
Wow.
It's not going to be too
It's
much.
not too much.
Are they going to be 10? They can't be more than 4 or 5, right? And by the time I ask this one, ask that one, I'll come back to you, Shirley. But in the meantime, Andrew, blah, 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 blah. You get, that's how I navigate it. So what kind of questions am I asking? I would say ask what questions and how questions. Don't ask why questions. Why do I say this? When you say, think about it. Once you say why did you do that? Why do you want me to hire you? Do you get, like, why is your company having a failed what? Why is always not a nice question. It puts people on the edge. Like, why is this role currently vacant? Like, why is
Like
this
on the
role currently
defensive.
vacant? Like, why? Why is questioning? Do you understand?
So
It's
what?
questioning. You want to say what? You want to say how, right? So, what are the challenges that this role is currently trying to solve? That shows that you are open to learning, not why, like, I'm the teacher, you're the student. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? You know, when you're asking your child questions and you're going, why? The child closes up. It's not very, but when you say what, it's like, oh, I want to know how you feel. I want to know more about you. Do you understand? So you're asking about,
I love
the challenges on the role. You can
okay.
ask about the culture as well, right? Talk about the culture. What sort of culture? What kind of team dynamics happens in the organization, right? If there's someone who has been there for a long time, I want to know, so what has kept you here? I mean, I did a little research and I realized that you've been around for about
Yeah.
15 years. That's very impressive. But from your perspective, what would you say has contributed to your being in this role for this long or working in this organization for this long? And the person be like, oh, in fact, this is the best company to ever be. And then someone else, I can say, oh, I realized that you've been about under 2 years in this organization. How would you compare, your assessment of the organization and now the reality that you are living? So, you had an impression when you were coming in. How has that matched your expectations? Brilliant. She's telling me A, B, C, D, E. Do you understand? So just sit down and prepare. Don't ask, how long is the
So
break
you're
time?
interviewing them now. You've turned the hot seat. You've
How
turned the
long
hot
is the
seat.
break time? Or when will I hear from you?
When is resumption? When is resumption?
Can I
How
can
many
I go and
hours
pick
am I
my
expected to
children?
work?
Don't ask any question that you can ask when you've resumed. Do you understand? When you're ready, ask questions that it sounds like I'm trying to make it. Guess what? Interviewing is you making a decision and they are making a decision as well. I want to make a decision on fit, right? I want to know if, okay, does this align with where I'm going in my career? They want to know, oh, does she align with, the culture and all of those things? So we are both interviewing each other.
Culture.
It's a
Yeah.
two-way street. Don't go in there thinking I'm here to impress them. They are also there to
Um,
impress you.
that's how we do in Nigeria.
Exactly.
This
So
is
they are
how we used to do
also
in
there to
Nigeria.
impress
Please
you.
don't do this. Don't do this in
I mean,
Nigeria
I will never
interview.
forget when I asked about the whole culture thing. The guy started. In fact, he went on and on and on
Now
and
you
on
come
and
to
on and
Nigeria.
on, and it was really impressive. It was really impressive. I mean, that was one of the reasons that I said, I think I'll go with this company. So ask your what, ask your how. Try not to ask, the why
Yeah.
type of questions, right? Another thing I wanted to quickly, you want to ask a question? Please go ahead. What I wanted to quickly chip in because
Go on.
I
Go on. Go on.
remembered.
I was going to talk about. I was sorry. It was still on this accent question thing, and I wanted to give the perspective of a Nigerian company because sometimes as we're talking, it may seem like, oh, this is just for the Western world. Don't go and ask questions when you are in Nigeria interview. You totally can ask questions, and it also applies, right? So I recall asking there was an interview I did, and they said they wanted a female that was single, 15 years experience, and all of that. And I thought it was weird, right? How can somebody have 15 years experience in a professional course and still be single? Like, hello, am I not supposed to progress in life? So I asked that question. I said, I'm very curious. What was the reason for asking for a single person in this role? And they said, oh, it's very simple. It's a traveling role. And they thought that, being married with children and stuff may be encumbering. And I was like, oh, okay, very good. So I already immediately knew
Mm,
that it wasn't a fit for me, right? So that was why that question was important. I mean, I've been thinking it in my mind. I say,
it's
I
their
could wrote it in
own
my
business.
siblings are married. If they take me, that's their business. Do you understand? But you want to know. And at the time, I was interviewing in two different places. So I really wanted to know. And the second company, when I asked them questions about their culture and stuff, I realized that they're a family-oriented company. The person that was in the row before me, her children will come from school. The school bus drops them in the office with her, and they will
This
close
is where I
together.
want
I'm
to
like,
be.
hello, this is the place for me. Me that have 4 children. Hello, are you joking? And in fact, when I even told one of the directors when we were talking, and he was like, you have 4 kids. She was like, amazing. That means you can work under pressure. For us, she said, I even have two and I want to run away. For you to have 4 children, you're still able to do at least you're the person for me. Do you understand? So immediately what was a disadvantage in the other company was an advantage in this one. I just knew that this was the place for me. So asking those questions also help
Yeah,
you to
yeah,
determine where you want to go.
exactly.
So I
And
just
I
want to
love
share
the way
that
you
again.
said, what were your reasons? You did not say, why did you people ask for a female that is not married? Do you understand? You're like, what are your reasons? Like, I'm curious. No, why? Why did you do that? Why, it's just not the way to go. So I wanted to quickly touch on something I said at the recruiter stage, because it just came into my mind now. We are dealing with a recruiter, especially if
Okay.
you don't have a job at the moment, right? So maybe you're changing
At the
industries, or
moment.
maybe you've been on maybe maternity leave or whatever it is, took some time off to raise your kids and you're trying to get back into the workspace, or you relocated, right? And you don't have a job. You're looking for a job. Remember that they like to hire people who are working. It's just a thing. Yeah, it's just a thing.
Who are working.
So with your recruiter, you
It's
want to
sad,
show
eh?
that I'm hot cake. It's not only you that is talking to me at the moment. I'm in demand, high demand. You want to be able to subtly put that in. Do you
Okay.
get what I mean? So maybe we're talking about when would maybe I'm asking her, so when next would I hear from you? Like, what's the next stage? And she's like, oh, maybe like next week and all. Oh, okay, because I'm currently recruiting on the role and I have a number of interviews lined up. So I just wanted to know, at what I've told you that, Auntie, I'm a busy person.
It's not like
Do
I'm
you
sitting down
know
waiting around for your
how did I
call. I'm
arrive
just
at
letting you
this?
know.
How did I know this? Because I have had recruiters ask
Okay.
me, are you currently working? Me. In fact, what I've done in the past is, when I just came, I was still
This truth. This
I was
truth that
still
can set you
working,
free.
right? When I got here. Well, I wasn't working technically. I was more on leave, but I was still employed with them. So the recruiter had asked me, are you currently
Yeah.
working? Guess what I said? I said yes, but I'm resigning. I think I said yes, but I've resigned. Or yes, on my last day, so. That was it. Too. I know you again.
It's not
Extra.
important. These are the things that they were saying was an entire shared with us at the last live. What is not
Thank you.
necessary for them, they don't need
And
to
you
know.
always have to show
It's
value,
not necessary.
value, value. Because I don't even blame them. If you're that great, why don't you have a job? Do you get like why are you still waiting for
Why are you
me
lying
here now?
around?
So you want to like chip it in. You want to chip it in. And even in your interview, you want to show that. Personally, I've had an interview where I chipped it in. I asked them about the culture, and I just told them basically that, because for me, it's really a decider as to, which company I go with, because I'm currently in the process with X number of companies. In fact, yesterday, the reason why I couldn't interview yesterday was because I had another last stage
Oshe,
interview with so and so person. Yes,
Oshe pride.
I'm hot. I'm
Oshe
in
pride.
demand. So they're like, she said she has in last stage interview. Give her the offer letter, quick, 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 quick. So that's what I would say about questioning. And another tip, maybe my final tip, because I know that this life has gone on for a long time because of all the technical issues and all of that, would be
Our
try to
technical issues.
engage. We always see interviews as a question and answer session, right? Yeah, Olanachi, I see you. You say it works with some recruiters, but it doesn't work against you. Do you get what I mean? So it may not sway the recruiter, but at least it won't become a case of, oh, you're interviewing other people. I'm not interested in you. But if it would actually influence the person's decision, then you're giving them that information. So it's kind of like you can't go wrong with it, basically. I'm not saying that if you don't do it, you wouldn't be called, or if you do it, that becomes the reason why you're
Yeah.
called. Do you get what I mean?
It's a
Yeah.
short podcast.
So I was going to say, try to keep your interview engaging. We are used to you ask me, I answer. You ask me, I answer. Here, you try to
It's
do
the
it.
Nigerian way.
So Olamachi says some recruiters don't want to schedule you, and when they get back, you're not. No. I'm not saying. Oh, no. I think you misinterpreted what I was explaining. I get you, which is I come back to you as a recruiter and I say, okay, Brenda, your interview will be on Wednesday the 13th. And then you now say, oh, I'm not available on the 13th. No, it's likely that you won't get rescheduled because maybe the interviews are only on 13th and 14th. They're not going to create a 16th just because of you. So I totally agree. What I'm saying is I'm on a recruiter call. That first level call where they're just trying to size you up. And I'm chipping in. She hasn't even sent me, any interview, anything. I'm just trying to know, oh, when would I likely hear back from you? Because I have a couple of interviews lined up next week, just to kind of like,
And I think you pointed it out, especially
yeah,
you
if
who
you're
have been
currently
in between
working,
jobs.
your CV already shows
Because
that you're working. You
naturally, if you're
don't need
currently working,
to
you're
do
already
it.
you're
You don't need
already
to do too
yes,
much.
you're already hot cake. Yes, we're now actually putting this in for those people that are having a gap. Like for example, the current role I'm in, like I said, I was out of work for 4 years before I took this role. So I had that gap, and it was even a good thing that I had the first interview before the second one. So the role I really wanted,
Yeah.
I had practice for that interview. So yeah, so it's
And of course,
I
I mean,
totally
you,
understand
you
what you're
don't have
saying.
to use all the tips. So that's like, I mean, just pick and choose what
Yeah,
works for you.
take the
Even
one
the
that
next one
works
I'm going
for
to say
you,
about
that works with your
engaging. Not
personality,
everyone
works with your
can do it. So what I'm saying is, when you answer a question, you try to also ask them a question. So for example, they've asked you, why are you the best fit for the job or something? And then you've explained. I could now ask you, is that how you see me in this role based on the conversations we've had today? I want to get an assessment of the answer I just provided so that if there are any gray areas, I can clarify, right? They'll be like, oh, yes, fantastic. You've answered well. Or, I don't know. Are you familiar with SQL? Like, they might now ask you more and you have a second chance to clarify.
better question.
But not everyone is
Fine.
comfortable with that whole engagement style of interviewing. So if you can do it, that's fine. If you can't do it, it doesn't mean that you will not be hired, because they'll be like, she only answered the questions we asked her. She never asked us. Do you get what I mean? Like, nobody's going to hold it against you. These are just tips, so with every tip, just do what you're
Yeah,
comfortable with and what works with, your particular situation.
I
Exactly.
can shine you up, girl. So excellent. There's a question from Amy. Amy says, "What if they ask you why do you want to resign from your
They
old
would,
job?" Fantastic question. They always
if
ask
you're
that. I
resigning,
mean,
you
even
must
me when I'm
explain to me why you're
employed, I
resigning now.
always ask that. I always ask you, why are you leaving your former company? If you think your company is not
So the
great,
thing
why are you
about this
going? What's the
question
problem?
is
And
that
please,
you know why you want to
okay.
resign. You need to be able to convince me. You know that it's actually because it's a higher paying job. But are you gonna go there and say, "Ah, my job, they don't pay salary
You
every
can't go
month,
and
oh,
say
if you
that.
see what we're going through." You're not gonna do that.
I
Or
don't just want to say that it's because
culture
of the moment.
zero, backbiting, everything. They promote based on who you know. You don't know anybody, you will die there. No, sister, you don't do that. First of all, why are you applying for this role? Possibly, it might be that responsibility wise, it's a higher level responsibility, right? Um, it might be that the organization itself, right? Maybe you're working in a one-man private firm, and this is like an international, firm. That's a reason to want to move. Maybe um, what you're doing right now, you're not leading a team, right? And then this is an opportunity to have leadership experience. You have to be able to look at something tangible that does not in any way, another tip, never ever speak bad about the former company. No, you cannot leave for better
Your
pay.
former
You
employer.
can never leave for better pay. Of
No,
course, you
you
are
can't say
leaving
that.
for better pay,
You know that
dear.
it's the rich thing,
But
but you can't say
like we
that.
said, you don't need to put it on the table. Because think about it,
You
for
can't
this
say
to
that.
be a better paying job, most likely, either, even if they're in the same industry, maybe it's banking, and I don't want to call names, or maybe you're currently working in one of those less famous banks, and then you're now interviewing for the top five. Why do I want to leave X for? It's obvious now. Do you understand? So when it comes to, I want to work in this sort of organization, right? Maybe why are they able to pay better? Because maybe you're going in for a greater challenge, or you're going in to solve a particular problem for them, or so you have to tie it to the fact that you're going to expand your skills, expand your experience. Maybe it's the company, maybe it's even the culture.
Yeah.
You're attracted to them for the culture,
Or there's or there's something about the
mission
mission
and
and the vision of the
vision.
company
Do you
that
get?
aligns with
Yeah,
one's
that
personal
aligns with your
values. That
personal
aligns with your personal
mission and
values.
vision, right? But you have to prepare for that question, because they will
You have
definitely
to sound
ask you.
intelligent. Oh. You cannot say it's money. You cannot say you're not
Yeah.
happy there.
So
You
maybe
can't say
you're
any
you're
of those
currently a
things.
leader in
So
your
you have
current
to
role, but
have
maybe you're just leading a small team. But this role will kind of like give you regional experience. So you'll be leading in Lagos, Aba, Port Harcourt. it's a wider, it's a wider reach for you. So you want to showcase that okay,
Yeah.
that's why I want to get on board, but not money, not because you're dissatisfied in any way. So even though you are dissatisfied, please do not put it out there. So don't ever speak bad
Thank
about
you.
the organization that you are leaving. Otherwise, they will just know that when you are moving on to the next, you will speak
Yeah.
bad about them as well, right?
You speak bad about them. And also, if you talk about pay, they will know that the very next vacancy that comes up that offers more than them,
Exactly.
you will
Yeah.
move to.
It shouldn't be
Yeah.
about pay.
So they know that they know that your motivation should not be pay. It should be something deeper, something more intrinsic. So even though we know that our motivation is really pay, but
Yeah. You can't
you
put it
can't
out
put
there.
that out
I
there.
mean, beyond the pay, there must be
There
other
must be other.
reasons, right? Because guess
There
what?
has to be
Some
something
people
other,
take
some other reason.
another
And you can
job with a
find
pay
it.
cut.
Lower paying job. Yes. Lower
Yeah, so
paying
maybe
job
it gives
with
me more
better
time for my
opportunities. Lower
children or
paying
my
job with better
family or something.
experience.
Yeah, I could take it because of that.
Or it will give me a wider experience, or it's good on my CV because of the type of company that it is. You know, if you are going to the big five, for example, in those people that are in audit, in the audit space, you want to work for the Mackenzies or all of that. I mean, it's and you're coming
Uh-huh.
from one somebody and sons in Nigeria. Hello, it is a no-brainer. Even if it's a pay cut, you will want to
Well,
go
I
in there.
wouldn't
You should
say,
get in there
I see
and you're going to
Olanachi
learn
say
something
better
different.
work environment. That sounds a little bit negative. That says that your current company doesn't have a good work environment. So you want to avoid anything that puts.
And besides, you don't even know what the
Exactly.
work
You haven't
environment
even gotten
is.
there. So you are
So you
doing
can't
a lot
even
of
say.
things.
As at the time of the interview, you can't say that. You can't say that. So you have to be looking for what you can see from their website. You know, what does the company say that they do? And what did the people discuss with
Or
you
what
even at the
are
interview?
your
Because
personal
that's how you can ask them questions like,
aspirations?
what
What are
is
your personal
what has
career
made you stay?
aspirations? How do
So
they
what are you
align?
what do you really want to do? And what is your goal and why are you now? How is this thing aligning with your goal? Because that will also let them know that you are in for the long haul. It means
And
you're
you're
not going
also
to
very
just take up again tomorrow.
strategic.
So
You're
these are the
not
kind of
just
questions people can
anybody that
answer
brings
telling you.
money, you go.
You're not a flighty
Yeah.
person. You're not a flighty person. It's very important. I mean, amazing, amazing conversation. We could
Yeah.
go on all day. I told you guys that there was something in this life that the devil was struggling with. I told you.
Yeah. Yeah. Olanachi said
I
industry of
told you.
interest. Yeah. So, but you need to like expatiate on that and kind of like let them
Exactly.
know how it fits into, your goals and all of that. That's fantastic.
That's a good enough reason. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, just to recap, any other questions? Please type in quickly. I'll just give a quick recap because of the fact that we cut off the first half. So in case that you're only seeing the second half, if you're catching a replay, we've been talking about tips to ace your interview, right? And she gave like 5 tips. I'm going to try and remember them because I was
Ah,
typing on the chat, but they have
ah,
been thrown out. I should have been writing on the piece of paper.
technology.
But I remember very clearly. The first one was to research the company and research the people that are going to be on your panel. And this is very important. If you don't know who's going to be on your panel, you can ask. Most times they would let you know, they will be copied in the email. From their names, you can take them to LinkedIn to do a search. You can do a simple Google search. You can find them even on the company's website or wherever. You can find at least some basic information about the people, about the company, and be prepared for the right questions. Number two, is to prepare your who are you question, right? That tell us about yourself. You need to prepare. And please remember, this is not the way we answer it in Nigeria, where where you say, "Tell me your father. I'm the firstborn of my father. I'm married." Scratch all of that. The tell me about yourself is sell yourself to me. Is tell us about yourself and your skills and your experience and how you're a good fit for this role that we're interviewing in. That's basically what it is, right? So your 3 minute speech should be practiced and rehearsed till it is spot on, and then to hear you, they're like,
You are just in
come
their
on, who's
chair,
this
like,
person? And it should also lead as in, and it should also lead to the right kind of questions that you want them to ask you. So you should be speaking about things that you want them to follow up questions on. If there are things you don't want to talk about in your career, don't go and pour it in that place. It's not important. Okay, that's number two. The number three was that you should prepare for competence-based questions. And competence-based questions here, they're easy to find. Just Google it. Competence-based questions for so and so role. You find tons of them. Find the ones that you can pick that you think can speak to you. Prepare a number of them so that as the questions come, you can be ready. And here's where she talked about answering with the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, and result. So tell your stories. telling us about the situation and task. So what happened? What was the situation around the thing? What was the task you did? What was the action and what was the result? It's always critical to tell us the result. In Nigeria, we're used to telling stories about what I did, what I did, what I did. What was the result? What was the end of the thing? It's so critical for them. Result is more very important. So when you're telling those stories, end with the result. Then number 4 was to prepare a
Ah,
story toolbox kit.
in
Am I
fact,
doing
even
well?
me, I'm like, did I say all this?
I've been listening. I've been listening. So number 4 was to prepare a story toolbox kit. And here you prepare a number of stories so that when they ask you questions, you're ready with the stories with each of your projects in mind and things that you've done. So number 1 question should be a time when you saved the day. Number 2, and this doesn't have to be dramatic, yeah? It's just like, okay, I did something that solved the problem for the whole team. Yeah. The second question is a time when you made a mistake. And in this question, when you're telling this question, if they ask you this question, you must be able to tie it to what you learned and what you've put in place to make sure that you don't make those mistakes again. That is so critical. Otherwise, you're not going to sound like someone that you're making mistakes all over the place. Your mistakes must be learning points. Okay. The number 3 question should be, don't tell me I've
It's
forgotten now.
okay.
No, no, no,
It's
no, 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 no.
okay.
I was on a roll. I was on a roll. Okay, the third question. I think the third story should be a time when you had
Yeah.
an angry customer or an angry colleague. I mean, somebody that you do not quite get along with, right? So they want to just check your interpersonal skills. And the last one, something you're really proud of. You know, a time when something that you did something you're really proud of. So just keep these 4 stories, two each or one each. But you can always use one story to answer any of the questions. You can tweak as is, but it's critical to prepare. Number 5, to have a story about a project that you've done. Now, if you're in a technical role, you will have a number of projects. Tell them in a sequential manner, step by step. They are looking for keywords. They're looking for key things to be sure that you did the work. Don't think this is the time to, to summarize and all of that. No, tell them what it is they're trying to check you out. Number 6 is to ask
Mm-hmm.
brilliant questions. So you're going to sign up the interview with a brilliant question because this is the thing they're going to remember you by. Do not ask questions that are why, ask rather what or how questions. And I think I've done an amazing job of summarizing today's
Yeah.
class. Please give it up for me. I feel like
In
this
fact,
one
I'm
here now,
thinking
right
that
now, man. I feel
this
like I'm such a good
auntie, are
learner.
you sure that she's not going to be dragging customer with me like this?
I'm such a good learner. I learned all of this on this call. Thank you guys for staying on. And I really needed to do that recap because the
Mm-hmm.
first part of our life
Mm-hmm.
was cut off. And I don't know if it's going to be saved. I just needed to put this out there for in case of those people that are catching the replay. The beautiful lady that has been talking to us today is EFUE B. She's my sister, my own sister. As in, no, all the people I've been calling sisters since they're not the ones who. This one is the child of my mother. She's my real
Blood.
sister. Look at her face. I'm not looking at like. This is my blood sister. This is really your comment. Not all the other ones we've been saying since.
Every other your comment is
So she's my
counterfeit.
sister.
So where are they? Let me not call
It's
their name,
counter.
oh. Our honor.
Please, 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 please. It's okay. Don't drive away my your promise. So please, you can follow her for more. She does career coaching. If you are relocating to a country and you want to settle down and find a job, she does that. She also helps with um,
Oh,
advisory about
sure.
see one of your comments
They
is
are
going to
here.
break me again. She also helps with, she also helps with what do you call it, career. Thank you,
Ah,
Ronke. She
Ronke,
also
give
helps
me
with
flowers now. Me that said the
advisory
thing
for
that they recap because.
immigration. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. This live was brought to you by the Women's Growth Academy, WGA. We are a community of women who love God and love each other, and we're trying to grow ourselves in love of God and just develop ourselves basically. So this is called Women's Matters. We have this every Tuesday at 6 p.m. WAT. If you want to come on it to talk with me about anything that you're passionate about, please send me a DM. I will find you a slot that works for you, okay? Thank you all for coming. It's been an amazing, amazing time. Thank you, FWB. You've been fantastic. You have one last word for us. If you forget everything that you said
Oh,
today,
yeah.
what should we go with? Tell me.
One thing I would say is interviews are a win-win situation. So never go into the interview and feel like, oh my God. So there are two possible outcomes. One is you do a great job and you get the job, right? Two is you come out with an experience of what to do or what not to do, at the
What
next
not to do.
interview. So
Yeah.
the experience is always valuable. Don't knock yourself down. I mean, you win some, you lose some. It's okay. Just take the learnings and brace yourself up because you are fantastic. You just need to be able to, explain and express yourself in a way that shows your true value. So I'm rooting for you guys. Feel free to send me a DM if you need help interviewing with your CV and all of that. And yeah, I got you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing time. Thank you all for joining. Ruth, you didn't join us early. This is the kind of live that you should not be missing. You will catch the replay. Don't worry. She's normally the first on our live
Oh,
every single time, right by Grace. And today she came in late. And I was like, today is not the day you should be late. But don't worry. You will catch the replay. Luckily, I was able to do the recap. So thank you all for coming. It's been an amazing time. I love you. See you same time
yeah.
next week,
And please shout
6
out.
p.m.
I
on
told my
Tuesday.
ladies on the
God
call. I
bless.
saw Chioma. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. Mhm.
Thank you. Yes, we always save our lives replay on Instagram, but we also have a YouTube page where we download and store them as well. So if you want to follow us on YouTube, we are Women's Growth Academy on YouTube, and you can find all the lives that we have had since December 1st when we started. So see you next Tuesday. Bye bye. My name is Brenda Unu, and I'm the amazing Queen Amazon of WGA.
Bye,
Take
everyone.
care. Bye bye.